Hey guys, it's J Battalion here, and today we are going to be predicting the next Star Fox game. So if you don't know, a reliable leaker who's like really accurate in terms of his leaks, about 2 weeks ago put out that a new Star Fox game is rumored to be coming out soon. This kind of lines up and makes sense because, I mean, we literally just got the Mario movie with Fox McCloud in it. So obviously Nintendo is wanting to bring back Star Fox. What we know from this rumor is that it's going to be a traditional Star Fox game, so Star Fox similar to Star Fox 64, so probably on-rail shooter. It's going to have really good graphics. It's going to have online multiplayer, which I'm really excited about. And then a little bit more recently, a little bit more info came about it, is there's a focus on writing, it being more funny and almost like Lego style humor. We'll talk about more of this stuff when we get into predictions, but that's kind of the baseline game info that we're given. My prediction will be based on this information that we've gotten because it's basically going to be pretty much true. It's not the game isn't even confirmed yet, but these rumors are super likely to happen. Also, after my predictions, I'm gonna do a little like wish list almost, but I'm gonna keep that within the realms of these guidelines, if that makes sense, of this game. Before I get into the predictions, the rumored timeline is that it will come out in the summer, most likely June, so early summer. We could get an announcement about it as early as this month, and that's kind of what's predicted, is that it will get an announcement in April sometime. It won't be on like a direct. The nearest direct seems to be probably in June or late May, so it's probably going to be randomly announced on their social media. Now that we have that baseline information though, let's go straight into the predictions. Obviously they'll keep the classic Star Fox 64 gameplay, but I think they'll probably add additional items and power-ups. So you know how in Star Fox 64 there's like the bomb power up that you get more bombs, and you have a bunch of different rings for different healing, and also the laser power up. Now I think what they might do is add a few more things to collect and upgrade certain parts of your ship, or expand upon those items that are previously there, because I do think they want to at least add some more depth to the gameplay while still making it pretty classic Star Fox, if that makes sense. Another thing that will kind of go in hand with this is that we'll probably add a unique mechanic to add interesting gameplay. So what that could mean is probably some sort of movement mechanic or special ability, like a extra special barrel roll, or like something movement or defensive or anything, just a certain type of move that they like to do. Because I feel like Nintendo is always like, oh yeah, in this new game, there's this certain new thing you can do. You know, like this is what you can do here, and it's like has this goofy name or whatever. I think they'll probably have that, and I think that will tie into the multiplayer in some way too, to make the multiplayer more interesting as well. But it'll also be in the single player. I definitely think that this will probably be the prettiest game on the Switch, because the benefit of an on-rail shooter is that you get to choose exactly where you're looking at. The game developer gets to choose exactly what you're looking at. So you don't have to have so much stuff on screen, like in terms of like all around you. So you can make really pretty stuff, and I can't wait for like a Switch 2 level graphics for Star Fox. It'd just be awesome. I hope it's very cinematic, just like Star Fox 64. It's very cinematic, and I think that's going to be really good lighting to help with the graphics. I also think they're going to make the characters very stylized. So they've been doing that with all of their characters recently. Like with Mario Wonder, they made all of the characters there really stylistic. And that transitioned over to Mario Kart, where all the characters are super expressive and stylized. And you have that with Donkey Kong as well. I think Fox is going to be like that. He'll probably be similar to his movie design, because that movie design is very expressive, but maybe a little bit different. I do think, though, that online will stick to R-Wing all range mode gameplay. There might be some other game modes, different options, but I think it might stick with that. I don't know if they're going to fully flesh out like a Star Fox Assault like multiplayer. I mean, they might. That'd be really cool. I think you could also make just an R-Wing multiplayer, and still make it very cool. So we'll see what they do there. But I just think online multiplayer in general for a Star Wars game would be really sick. But yeah, I think they're going to make the characters extra likable and more lighthearted. That's why, they're going for a more humorous approach, I think. I'm not really sure exactly what that is. I feel like Star Fox has always been kind of lighthearted banter with also some serious moments, right? And I hope they kind of keep that. But apparently there's going to be a lot of other stuff. I think it'll probably go in hand with the expressiveness of the characters. I just really hope that it's not like Metroid Prime 4 side character level dialogue that's like cringe, I hope it's like the cheesy kind of Star Foxy line delivery and not like whatever that was. Interestingly enough, we don't know anything about what the story could be, but I think it will go probably in 3 different ways. There's a possibility that it's yet another reboot of Star Fox 64. The reason for that is because Star Fox Zero did so badly, and they want to reset completely now that everyone has gotten back into Star Fox. So we'll see. I'm not super confident about that one, but that's an idea. Another idea I think they might have is a reboot, but it's a completely new story. So you have your main characters and maybe some stuff that's similar from the previous games, but it's a very brand new story and a lot of brand new elements, if that makes sense. The only other thing I see is they actually make a sequel to Star Fox Zero, and they add some characters that are beloved from some of the previous games, like Star Fox Adventures, Assault. Maybe they'll add Crystal in the sequel to Star Fox Zero, but just make it different, if that makes sense. That's another possibility they might do, because they still were kind of keeping that redesign look of Star Fox Zero. And Star Fox Zero is supposed to be the reboot, so it would be cool if you were able to make a sequel to that. Even though I prefer the original timeline, I just think they probably won't go back to the original timeline. But yeah, that's all my predictions for this upcoming game. Now I'm going to get into like a few things that I would want. I would actually want additional power-ups and things to gather during a level, like I mentioned in predictions. But also, it would be cool if in between levels you can modify your ship with the parts that you collected or whatever while you're in a mission, or maybe it's due to how many enemies you shoot down, or that maybe there's like collectibles you can get while you're shooting down enemies going through a level. I think that would be really cool if you're able to, in between levels, have a bit more interactivity with what you play into the next level, or I don't know. Just think that would be interesting. That's not really top on my priority list. I think the top thing is what's next, which is an emphasis on multiple paths. I don't think a Star Fox game has ever really topped what 64 did in terms of the different paths. I know Star Fox Zero did it a little bit, but a lot of the missions that you were able to do with multiple paths, you could only do those afterwards you unlocked something else further in the game. And a lot of the times they felt like they branched off into like very like small missions, and it didn't feel like there was a lot of extra paths, because it felt like there's just like 2 main paths, but not really. It's just 1 main path with like slight deviations. Whereas Star Fox 64, you could branch off so many different paths, and there was so many like story stuff that would kind of happen because of what you did during a level. It would change your path. I think doing that, but expanding it so that there's every level you're able to, there's a mission related thing that branches you out, and it's not like an arbitrary thing either, but like it makes sense to what you are able to accomplish and what you're not able to accomplish during a level. I think that would be really, really cool. What's cool about like multiple paths is that it expands the world. It makes the world feel a lot more alive, but it still gives you so much control of the level design. Because obviously the most a game can feel to a real world is open world, but open world has its own separate problems, right? But if you have like a multiple path system, it still expands the world, makes the world feel a little bit more real, but you're still able to intricately design so many different levels. This is a given, but I want the stylized characters that they've done to other Nintendo properties recently, and the good graphics and really good music. I would really like that. Prefer a fully orchestrated soundtrack, but as long as it's just really good music, I'd be fine with that. So I would want a team-based online multiplayer game mode, so like a 4v4 where like you dogfight. It could be like heroes versus villains. He picked different characters, like based on like Star Wolf and Star Fox and other characters as well. I think that would be really fun because the only thing like we've had in terms of multiplayer is just like free for all, you know. I think it would be cool if there was like a team-based mode and like maybe some objectives to do. My dream for like the story of the game would be just a true sequel to Star Fox Assault because I love that timeline. But I don't think we're gonna get that, unfortunately. But that is a what I want thing. I would really like an actual sequel to Star Fox Assault that's not all this fan fiction-y stuff from Command, right? Because that's unlikely, if I wasn't able to choose that, I'd probably choose a new story, like a completely new story, just because there's a lot of unique stuff you could do, and I would be curious as what they could do. That's kind of all I want if they're ready to go for this, because most of the predictions I'm predicting are also things I would probably want. There's no crazy super predictions because we already kind of have an outline from what the game might be. Technically, this is, you know, not it's not confirmed, but the leaker is so reliable that I think we can trust what is given to us. But obviously, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I don't know if there really is a Star Fox game coming in the summer. I'm just so hyped for one, bro. I've waited so long, and I'm sure all of you have too. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.